Right. You want me to text Mark?
Yeah, text him because he's tell me he's in the late. He's in the late.
He's being a narc.
Yeah, Mark. Oh man. All right, it said okay, Mark is signed on. For some reason. Okay.
Hello.
Hey, how we doing, Mark? We are live. Um, we are on. So all right. So we'll just give a few minutes before everyone else signs on. We got the social media up and running. Today is Triple Net Leases.
Well, that leases.
Triple Net Leases. Here we go.
That's
So
a thing? No, I'm
yes,
kidding.
it is. Yes, sir, it is.
All right, all right.
It seems as though someone has signed on to my personal one. So let me redirect them.
That was me, sorry.
No, it's somebody named Hari. Hari Route 2. It's signed on to my personal meeting.
Eric, where are you at?
I am in Coral Gables.
It almost looked like the West Palm Starbucks we were at. Almost.
Actually, it kind
Outside.
of, you know what? It kind of feels the same, actually, a little bit.
Yeah. Huh,
Yeah, no, this
interesting.
is this is Coral Way. It's the Miracle Mile, like the main
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
little hub here. I wanted to step outside because I'm like I don't have earphones, and I was like the only asshole inside Starbucks. Like with
Todd.
your voices, coming through the laptop. So I'm like, I can't. I just have to sweat it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I get that.
Yeah.
I am the same way. Just like if somebody is on an elevator and they're loudly talking on their phone or the phone's playing live music or they're on speaker and I'm like,
Yeah.
why? Why?
Why?
I don't
Yeah.
get it. I just don't get it.
Well, I find that when I'm in the gym too, like you go in the sauna and you're kind of relaxing, and then somebody's got they turn on their music really loud. But
Oh my gosh. I even find it unbelievably annoying because I'm always out at the boardwalk, walking, biking, anything like that. And then the people are blaring giant boom boxes on their bikes.
Ah.
You can do it in that setting. Like I get it. It's a public area. Everybody's moving back and forth. Everybody's walking, listening to music, roller skating. But I'm still like, all right.
yeah,
Put it in your blast your own eardrums out. Okay.
yeah.
Anyway, I'm grumpy. Well, not now, but about that always. Okay, let me pull up.
So
Well, all right.
so we're
All
gonna go for it.
right. So we're live, guys, and I guess it's now what 6 minutes after. Um, so let's get started with triple net leases.
Sounds great. My first just got your guys' text.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
We won't share that right now, but first of all, let's just say welcome to everybody. Like-Minded Pro Live call.
absolutely.
Today is Triple Net Leases, and thank you for taking the time to join us. For
Yeah.
anybody that's new, Like-Minded Pro is about one thing, about finding the right people and creating the right partnerships. You know, the numbers matter, but the people matter more, and because we're in commercial real estate, the tenants matter a lot. Who we partner with, there are the ones that bring our leases and everything. So the people we partner can ultimately determine whether the deal works or not, So, that's what our main topic is today. And what we'll go through is, what a triple net lease is, why investors are attracted to it, what we need to understand about it, how partnerships can be structured to help these, and more important, who to look for when we're partnering for these things. But first, we'll do a little bit of housekeeping. Eric, you want to take care of a little bit of that, let everyone know what's going on, what we have coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, thank you everyone for coming on and then for Like-Minded Pro X live. We have two exciting meetups. Yes, in-person meetups. Ding 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 ding. I think we should have like
The
A
bell,
bell.
cowbell,
like a bell.
cowbell.
There you go.
You need to move.
There
You
we
need to move into Starbucks right now with the cowbell and do that.
Yeah,
go.
yeah, yeah. The
Um,
cowbell. We
but
always need more cowbell.
the cowbells. But yeah, so we have tomorrow we're gonna be actually in Miami, close to here. Right now I'm in Coral Gables, but we're gonna be in Midtown Miami, which is probably about like 20 minutes, a little bit more east, northeast. And then we also have it in Orlando on the 20th, which is tomorrow, August 20th. So we're gonna be doing that. You can catch that obviously on likemindedpro.com or likemindedpro.com/go. Everything is there for you. Yeah, and then obviously, what it's all about is communication, right? That's why we have this. So, when you come to our meetups, communicate, connect, right? Get on our lives, interact with each other, and that's how you really, really, really find your next partner or your next deal. So, yeah, thank you guys for coming on.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And you want to add anything to that, Mark?
No, yeah, definitely excited for the meetups this week and everything. I'll be at the Miami one. Super excited for that. And then, yeah, everybody out there, join in. Come on to this, what do you call it? This Zoom and everything. Check out likeminded.com. Sorry, likemindedpro.com/ I was going to go likemindedgo. I'm like, that's not right. Likemindedpro.com/go. And then that has everything on there, including link for this and everything like that. No excuses, anybody. So, yeah, other than that, super excited. I have a bunch of questions regarding triple net leases
Oh, excellent.
for
Well,
you because I
that's
know Scott here is reasonably knowledgeable with everything. So, but
reasonably
yeah.
knowledgeable about a few things.
Scott is our honorable guest today.
Yeah.
Well, not so honorable, but thank you very much for that, sir.
Us, you are.
But I guess we should start with a definition of a triple net lease.
Yeah.
It's generally structured so that the tenants that leases the property is responsible for three major things, property tax, insurance, and maintenance, unless it's a absolute triple net lease, which absolute lease, which they're responsible for everything, but we're not really going to go into that. But you still need to make sure you know what type of lease you have because it's very important. There's where your legal partner is very, very important, and it covers property taxes, insurance, and maintenance, and that's where the triple net comes from. And the landlord as the investor, as the property owner, you're generally required to be responsible for the community areas, the parking lot, the roof sometimes, but it all depends on how the lease is structured. And these properties can be occupied by a realm of commercial real estate, like retail, pharmacies, restaurants, medical, banks, convenience stores, industrial and other corporate entities. They can be standalone or they can be all in a strip center or something like that. But there's something that, a lot of people associate it with low risk, but not necessarily. It still inherently has its risk, just like anything else. Although the leases are longer, it really all depends on who your tenant is and who your partners are in that. So let's take one of your questions. Let's hear see what you'd like to know about the triple net leases, Mark.
Yeah, when it comes to, I guess, the property basics, such as property taxes, insurance, maintenance, everything like that, what does a tenant or an owner have to each individually go through when it comes to that? I guess walk through that whole process, tenant tenant side and then owner side.
Well, both of them need to definitely have an attorney partner that goes through their lease, because that's very, very, very important. You know, that's something that's part of the due diligence process, that we all need to go through, whether you're the tenant or the landlord. And as far as the process goes, in what respect do you mean, like the process for buying the property or managing the property? Because there are separate
Both.
aspects of both. Okay, for buying the property, generally it's much like any other real estate transaction, but when you're buying it, you really need to know who is the person that is going to be the tenant, who's the resident, are they, who is guaranteeing the lease? Is it a corporation? Is it a franchise? Is it an individual operator? You know, how financially strong is the tenant? You need to do your background checks and your credit checks, criminal background checks. How long have they been in business? How long have they been operating in the area? You know, um, how important is this particular business to that location? What the traffic patterns are, and will this business be coming with a corporate guarantee, which is, generally backed by a parent company. Like if they fall out, like say it's a Chipotle or something like that, if that business goes down, will the corporation actually cover the length of that lease? And that's what you need to take into consideration. You need to take into consideration, what the location is, what the traffic is, the visibility, the access. And this is on the landlord side and the tenant side, access, population growth, demographics, whatever the other uses are, you know, if the tenant is falls short and they violate the lease and come out, will they will you be able to find a replacement tenant? You know, a lot of things that go into it. As a landlord, you have to look to see if they have adequate parking, what the lot size is. Are there any other uses for the parking that you can potentially use for cash flow? And you really need to be aware of what's around in the area. Are there gas stations around? Is it close to other facilities that are close? And that would, say for instance, if it's an industrial um, flex industrial, what's around there? Are there other flex industrial? Is it a big part of a larger park where there's other people doing business, or if it's a small retail center, is there a lot of other retail and restaurants that will bring more traffic to the area? But as the tenant, you need to really look through the lease and see what that is given to you by it's all negotiable, what you're going to be responsible for. You can, think of it as, as a negotiation as for what you're paying for. But if it's a triple net lease, generally it's taxes, insurance, and property tax. Well, no, taxes, property and maintenance. But you know, you need to be aware what else is covered in there. You know, the common areas, are they going to be taking care of it? Will they be coming through and have a maintenance crew cleaning it once a week? You know, will they be doing the parking lots once a year? Will they, you know, are they responsible for the roof? You know, you need to ask a lot of these questions and go through it with your attorney and see what is covered there, you know, and you know, as the landlord, you need to also, like when you're buying other real estate, you know, you need to have other plan B or exit strategies. Like if this person moves out and there's no corporate guarantee, is there
Yeah.
something that can come in? You know, could another operator take it over? Could go ahead.
Which leads me, yeah, no, exactly. And I guess I don't know if you want to call it redundancy is very important, but obviously making sure that you don't have any fail points if, the business gets messed up, in some way. I was actually watching a video. It randomly come because I watch police stuff on occasion. It's fascinating to me, and they you had police and SWAT come in as they were trying to apprehend a suspect in a motel room. It was probably I would say, yeah, 40, 50 unit, I'm guessing, hotel, motel, actually, all outdoor, all single story. And they went into the captain went into, and this is a multi-unit operation. The captain went into the front office. Hey, we need like keys for this place. And they later, after they put many rounds into the place, so many different types, windows busted, walls, but everything completely messed up. Come back into the office, and evidently the owner showed up, and they're going, do I get, where do I send a bill for this stuff? What happens? Like half my hotel is messed up right now. You've scared all our guests away, and that's that. Obviously, police and SWAT had to get a job done, but still, if something like that happens, this is this insurance? Are they still going to be able to pay? Et cetera, et cetera. Now, this is obviously a motel, it's different,
Yeah.
but still something like that, which is very fascinating. Or a hurricane comes through and now the business can't operate for, a month or two or whatever it is. Where does that money go? So, which what you're saying leads me into my next, I guess, question: owner versus tenant, pros and cons. Like, if you're a tenant, why should you do something like this versus, hey, I'm just going to go buy, a building or build one or whatever. And then if you're an owner, well, other different types of leases versus, okay, triple net, etc. Pros and cons from each party's point of view.
Yeah, I guess it would depend on your overall long-term strategy, you know, like you know, what do you know, are you going to be better off financially owning your own, or is it going to be better off long term for you? You know, that's what you're going to do better based on your overall business strategy, you know, but as the landlord, you know, you really want to choose these type of properties based on, you know, the viability of the business in the area. You know, I've seen people that thrive with these, you know, they have those anchor tenants, you know, like a grocery store chain or a small convenience store chain or Chipotle's or Starbucks. You know, those do very well where they just potentially do a land lease, and you know, the build out is done by the tenant, and they cover all of that, and they're just basically just leasing the land from them, and they're required to do all those things, and those can be quite lucrative because there's not really a whole lot of maintenance on the landlord side, and the returns are not quite as high as some other real estate investments, but you're looking at leases that are, you know, several years long and, you know, up to 10 years, and they usually have escalator clauses for inflation and stuff every few years, or renegotiation points that you know, for the landlord it can be quite lucrative. And these types of business, these anchor tenants, they generally don't move. You know, they don't want to unless they fail, you know. And when you get to the like mom and pop smaller businesses, that's their livelihood, so they generally fight to stay there, you know. And I
Yeah.
I remember Ugo, uh, Ugo, he has a bunch of flex space industrial, and he said he used to have a carpentry business, and he's like, well, I used to be that guy, so he's a little bit he understands like being the tenant and being the landlord. So when his guys, couldn't pay, like he went and talked to them, and they said, well, look, I had a I had my last three contracts and they were general contractors. They said my last three guys didn't pay me. So I can't pay the rent. So what can I do? And he said, well, can you make payments? So there's something like that with those type of tenants, whereas the mom and pops, you can probably make a some type of payment schedule, and most of the time they'll pay it back, if they've been in business for a long time. So there's a lot of advantages with those type of smaller flex space industrial, but those are generally like a gross lease where you're the landlord's still responsible for the taxes and the insurance and stuff like that.
No,
But go ahead,
oh
Eric.
no,
Oh, no, I
so
was just going, yeah, I agree. Yeah.
yeah, no, so I was gonna that was actually leading on to one of my questions that I had, which was like triple net. I always looked at it as like long term, right?
Yeah,
Like you sign them up long term wise. And I guess you basically answered the question was like, if you're a certain, a certain like establishment or a restaurant or something, then you can kind of, I guess, have those longer leases, right? Is that
yeah.
basically what triple net is basically like you put someone in there for a couple of years or 10 years or 15 years or
It
something.
depends on how the property is and how it's structured. It can be some of the restaurants and stuff, they have like revenue sharing agreements and stuff like that, where that's part of the rent. They pay a lower rent amount, but they pay based on the revenue from the company. That's a whole nother thing where it's not necessarily a triple net lease, because there's probably other stipulations in it that the lease is somewhat flexible and somewhat more negotiable.
Hmm.
Triple net lease. Does this apply to land?
Um, does it apply to land? That's a good question, but if you're doing that, generally that would be kind of more of a land lease, and
Yeah.
and that would kind of be, that depend on what the arrangement is and what the land's used for, like agriculture or mining, and that could be, I guess that could be anything. And that's the wonderful thing about real estate, is that everything's pretty well negotiable. So you can kind of structure it however you want, as long as it's both parties are happy and it's legal, you know?
Right. Well, and that's the thing with land also. Obviously, if you're going to build a barn or a pole barn or, do something to the land or anything, well, is that really a lease? Does that constitute, I guess, having a lease? Because if you stop paying, it's not like a landlord is going to go like leave. I mean, yeah, technically, but now they're left with a piece of land with stuff done on it or to it,
Yeah.
and everything like that. So, and then of course, obviously when it comes to triple net, you have taxes, insurance, all that, which do that, well, taxes, obviously, insurance to land,
Yeah, you don't really
you
have
know,
any insurance for land, unless
yeah.
you have flood insurance, and that's probably about it.
Hmm.
But
If.
if that, and it depends on the zone, but things to kind of look at in the leases and stuff, is if you're, especially if you're buying a property, it's kind of similar to like other properties. You look at the lease terms remaining, what are the renewal options? Are there rent increases coming up? What are the tenant responsibilities? What are the landlord responsibilities? Is there a roof or a structural obligation? Who's responsible for the AC? What are the insurance requirements for this? Is it underinsured? Is it overinsured? Are there any assignment rights? Are there any guarantees, corporate or otherwise? Are there any defaults, default provisions and stuff like that? And if somebody tells you, it's triple net, oh, they pay for everything, that may not necessarily be true unless it's an absolute triple net. And then then they are responsible for everything, and so, are there any other questions that you guys have for that type of things? Because we're going to get into, partnerships and what goes into that,
Awesome. Yep.
you know, so, today our conversation, oh, go ahead, Mark. I saw you were about to say
Well,
something.
yeah, no, I was just gonna say, you guys know Sebastian
Yeah,
Maniscalco,
Falco,
correct? Yeah.
yes.
Well, back to the Chipotle thing you were saying and everything. You say it exactly like him, where he goes Chipotle.
Yeah. Chipotle.
Next.
Yeah. Chipotle. Okay.
Italian Chipotle.
Chipotle. Yeah.
Oh my.
Well,
All right, so I'm just gonna call you Sebastian now.
okay. Fine.
You guys
But
have similar hair.
well, yeah, we
Ish.
do. We
Ish.
ish, but here's where we are today with, Like-Minded Pro. We're focusing on what partnerships you need for triple net leases, Um, there's a lot of things that go into it. One person might find the property, one person might know the market, one person might bring the finance, one person might bring the equity, one might do the construction, and others might have options for tenants, and the other one might understand the management, and you do also need, an attorney to look over how you're going to structure the lease and how you're going to structure the overall partnership, um, you know, instead of asking, how do I do this entire deal myself, ask like, who are the right people that I need to be partnered with,
It's always how it should go. Yeah.
because that's a completely different question. And as we all know, this is, business, the team sport, especially real estate, is no different. If anything, it's more of a people business than a lot of other businesses. You know, you definitely, like, an example of who we need to look for is like who's going to do the acquisition, who's going to bring the capital, who's bringing the finance, who's going to be in charge of the operations, who's going to be, the area expert in whatever the tenants are that are in that area.
Well, and this is also why, so many people out there, slight, deviation, but so many people out there go like, oh, real estate people, they're all dinosaurs. Everything's old school and everything. But it is that way for a reason. Go get into real estate and you'll quickly figure out why. Because everything is so heavily partnership and people based and dependent for executing on the right strategies and doing the right thing. You have to be, you don't have to be a good people person, but you have to have good people around you. Can you do things yourself? Yeah, sure. I mean, of course, it's going to take you a million times longer.
Yeah, I
But
think on a
we're
smaller
dinosaurs
scale.
for a reason. And
Yeah,
so,
on a smaller scale, yes. There's the saying, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
yep.
It's that way for a reason, because if you don't have a good team and a good network, it's going to be a lot harder. You can do some smaller properties and a lot of stuff yourself, but when you get to a certain point, you will need a lot of people, and and one of the things that sometimes is forgotten is like the industry expertise, like someone with experience, allocating those types of tenants. Like, say it's, a retail center, someone who has experience, finding and bringing those people in, and you always need a legal partner for that. Like if you're buying a medical building, restaurant, industrial facility, or something like that, you need to have somebody that understands the restaurant business and like the cycle of, okay, well, this is certain time it's going to be heavy parking, or, we're going to need more parking at this time. We're going to need, you know, a well-lit parking lot at this time, and everything like that. Whereas, if you don't understand that restaurant business or industrial, you won't really understand how the property needs to be laid out, for that, and everyone needs to bring something to the table, and it's just something that we focus on a lot here at Like-Minded Pro, is always add value. If you're getting into one of these triple net deals, figure out what you can do to be a big help to everyone else, what you can do to be a great partner. Say you are good at numbers, maybe offer to analyze the deals for everyone. Maybe, find the deals for everyone. If you're a good people person, go talk to all the brokers and, go scout around, talk to the business owners, see if they're looking to sell. Because sometimes with these triple net leases, sometimes you're buying the business and you end up buying the real estate as well, and that could be very well be a triple net lease to the business. So you need to be aware that that could be an extra bonus if you are buying a business with that. Um, Go ahead, Mark.
Quick question. Say somebody, if anybody out there, say somebody actually wants to, um, they're looking at a potential business or they're looking at the land or the actual property built up on it, whatever it is. Um, Trying to figure how to properly phase, I guess, the question or phrase the question, because I've ran into this myself where I'm intentionally looking for the real estate portion of it and I don't want to buy the business, or
Yeah.
vice versa,
Yeah.
and everything. So I guess that's I'm trying to phrase the question so that it actually makes sense to to people, well, and yourself too. But I guess what's the difference basically? Like, okay, you're buying the real estate for that matter, and then obviously cool, you have the lease, yeah, everything in place is fine. But what happens if you buy the business as well? Does that have anything to do with anything? Because obviously structure wise, and different conversation for obviously attorney and and all of that. I did not say whatnot. So different conversation. You guys are proud of me. However, um, you're buying the land, or sorry, you're buying the real estate, you're buying the business. Should you keep them entirely separate? And hey, here's the owner of this business, here's the owner of this land, and then we lease to the owner of the landlord, or should it's just, hey, cool, this is my everything, I guess. So, and I apologize. I'm not quite sure how to phrase
I
that
think I
question.
get an idea of like
Okay, yeah.
should you commingle them together or should they be part of one
I don't know
business?
if because everybody you think commingling, everybody
Well, I mean,
goes, it's a
because
curse word,
if it
but
is one business and they own the real estate, um, maybe, but generally you would want
that's
to keep
also
them separate.
obviously for a tax professional, a legal
Yeah, no,
professional,
I
everything
mean,
too.
none
So
of us are legal or tax or
yeah.
financial thing. This is just based on our experience for entertainment purposes. But if you are buying the business, generally you want to keep it separate from the real estate because it's two separate
Okay.
transactions. It's two separate transactions and it's two separate types of business. They're both managed in a different way. You're not going to have although you may have your manager at the business manage the property also, but you really should keep it separate because then it'll get less conflicted and it'll probably be easier for your tax professional to do it that way as well.
Value assessment, assessing the values of each and everything. I guess if you're trying to, because I've also ran into this issue myself looking for property, and well, and potential businesses as well. If you're doing the seller finance thing, whatever it happens to be, when it comes to the actual value of everything, how is that assessed differently? I suppose depending on the two, whether it is a lease base or they own the whatever. I mean.
Yeah, and the property, as we know, for people that don't know out there, generally it's based on the net operating income divided by the cap rate, whatever that is in the area, or the comps in the area of similar properties. That's all taken into consideration. The business is generally based on the EBITDA, which is basically the same thing for businesses. It's the operating income, you know, um, times whichever equity multiple for that business in the area. So it's a similar type of it's just a different the math's a little bit different, but they're basically kind of the same thing, you know.
So how are all these people out there coming up with a purchase price and financing options and terms and everything at once? Which has kind of blown my mind at times because I've seen a lot of these properties and businesses at the same time listed, and it kind of doesn't quite seem like they know what they're talking about when it comes to, the overall listing. And well, hey, you can get, okay, this business and property is listed for 5 million total, and you can get financing. Well,
Yeah.
financing on what?
Yeah,
Is
it
it the
has to
business?
be.
Is it the real estate? And how are you combining the two? And then what is everything? And of course, down payment on what? Is it the business? Is it the real estate? And of course, if you're doing anything conventional as well, you know, what is it based off of? So
Yeah.
this is always kind of blown my mind. And I'm going looking at these listings, like, what the hell are you guys doing?
Yeah. Well, it's really going to come down to, as we know, a lot of times what's in the pro forma, the flashier it is. Generally, and this is my
We
experience,
never buy on pro forma.
generally the numbers are not quite what they seem in there. And the real estate, you have to really segment the two out and see what the actual true value is, what the actual operating income is of the business, what assets come with the business, what assets are included with the real estate. You really have to get all of the itemized lists of everything that's included, customer lists, down to all the computers in the office. Like, does the company own all of that? Is it leased? Are there
Yeah.
any vehicles? Are there any, is there any other additional equipment that comes with the business? If it's a contracting business or forklifts, are there any leases or anything for that? It would just that has to come all out in their due diligence period. A lot of times what I found, and this is just my experience with friends that have bought businesses, the smaller businesses, sometimes it's what they call napkin math, where when it comes down to, and I know Eric, you had a couple of things you were looking at too, where the people couldn't necessarily produce the financials, so it was a no-go. And that's
In
that's
there.
that's the same thing in real estate. If they can't produce the numbers, you really don't have a deal because it doesn't really exist if they can't produce the numbers to back it up.
Yeah, no, I mean I feel like it's case by case basis when it
Yeah,
comes to like valuing the business and the property, and then how and what makes sense, right? Because you know, it's like, yeah, for instance, that property I was looking at, the owner owned the business along with the property, but didn't have anything to show because he just yeah, like you said, napkin numbers.
yeah,
So it's like, okay, like what can this property really produce? And then you're kind of killing the value of your property in a way, right? If you
yeah,
don't say it correctly, right? So I don't know. And then I feel like there's also some instances when you can look at a property that has a business, and then now that business is more valued because there's a property attached to it, you know? So like I don't know. I don't know. Like I feel like it's a very hard thing, right? But I don't know. What have you seen, Scott? I guess I know you talked a little bit about that, but
yeah. I've seen similar things where you really have to segment it out because, like you said, if the leases are not structured correctly, then the property is not going to be valued. I've seen where they the business pays little rent, but then with the NOI coming out, then the property value is going to be a lot less because the leases don't match what the true valuation would be because you got a lower net operating income, so you get a lower valuation.
Well, and then you have
like,
market value rents as well, which is
Yeah.
very different. I was looking at a 4 unit in Chicago last year, where they had convenience store, one of them, and it was small retail, so 4 unit. But one of them actually was a gaming, it wasn't a casino, but it was still gaming, slot machines, everything like that. To which I'm like, but. Because their business was doing so dang well, the landlord raised their rent and everything of what that unit of the building could provide and everything like that. So now a an appraiser comes in and
Wow.
goes, Well, that's great. You raise the rent, but it's not market value. And it brought the thing way the heck back down. So
Yeah.
the appraisal would have been completely different because of that. But yeah, it's still, and then
Yeah.
of course what determines market value as well. So,
Yeah.
but yeah,
And that's what to take into consideration, because think about it, if the business is paying more in rent, then it's going to have a lesser income. So it's going to probably be valued less. But the property be valued more, and so if you pay less, the property be valued more, but the business could be valued more because it's more profitable. So, and then also you do have to take into consideration comps and market value, like you're saying, for businesses in the area of that type, so it's just something that will come out in due diligence. You always want to do due diligence and go through with a fine tooth comb, because find out how the leases are structured, make sure you have the right people in there, and make sure you have the right partners, and it gets me to, like, what are questions that you should ask a potential partner when you're looking for this? What is your partner's potential experience? What deals have they completed? What are they bringing to the table, as far as, are they bringing the financial partner? Are they bringing capital? You know, how do they communicate? How do they behave when things go bad? You know, um, what are their expectations? What are your expectations? What's their role? What's your role? You know, who's, how are the voting rights going to be structured, and who's going to be responsible and take the lead when a decision needs to be made? Who who do you need as that partner to do that? And all this will be going into an operating agreement, which is generally how all of the rights are dictated, and how all the terms of the partnership go. When you have a good operating agreement, you know, it's good to have like a majority rule and things like that, especially if you have partners that you may not see eye to eye with certain things, because then you might get stuck. Say if there's just two people, myself and Mark, and we're at heads and we're 50-50, we're at a standstill because one can't do the other. I can't make a decision. He can't make a decision. He technically has to be 100% if you need to make a decision. So definitely partner with somebody that is, work in a workable situation with you. That's that you don't want somebody that's going to be agreeable with you all the time, but
yes,
you
correct.
want to be able to come to an agreement. You want to be able, you don't want to fight on everything, but you want to be able to, give a little bit, because there's give and take in everything. 'Cause
Well,
it's, yeah,
and how do those agreements come about? They're based on something, and it's
yeah,
obviously an OPAG is the most common, but proper documents. And Scott, what do we always say?
we, we always say, like my friend Justin said, great agreements or great contracts build great friendships, or keep great friendships.
Yeah, yeah. Great contracts, keep great friendships. Yeah,
Keep
absolutely.
friendships. So put it in writing, write it down, go back and forth a bunch of times with your partners, find out and figure out what's going to work for you guys, and find out what's going to work with that particular deal. And if you're planning to do more than one together, have that in mind too. And also put in the partnership, like, what if somebody gets a divorce? What if somebody dies? What if somebody becomes incapacitated? What if somebody wants out? What if,
Yeah.
put all those things in there, because things happen, life happens, to all of us, and if there's a disagreement, what happens? How do you solve that?
And this is also why, with everybody out there, speed is one thing. Speed can kill deals. It can make a deal happen, of course. So going at the right pace, making sure you're keeping the seller happy. Well, if you're buying, obviously, making sure all parties stay happy and you're moving along swiftly, and that's fine. But speed should never, and wanting to buy the property, whatnot, or and everything should never come at the sacrifice of what do you call it? Just having the proper documents and due diligence and everything.
Yeah,
So, and I see a lot of people making that mistake. I've been there also.
yeah.
So
Speed
yeah, speed
kills.
should not. Speed
Yeah,
can kill. Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. So, and
You know,
if it doesn't kill right now, hey, we're just trying to get the deal done. Great, that's fine.
yeah,
But then,
it-
what's the
yeah. What's the end game?
what's it going to look like down the road?
Yeah, I've always said that real estate is a long game. So if it's something that needs speed and urgency, probably need to take a second look, because speed and don't let a great deal create a bad partnership. Don't be quick to jump
Yeah.
into something with somebody because I've done it. I'm pretty sure we've all done it. And
Oh yeah.
generally 9 times out of 10, it hasn't worked out very well. Sometimes I've had one that went really well, but it was not fun. It was a lot. It was very stressful. It was tough. So don't be in a hurry to jump in a partnership. Build the relationship first. Build the partnership first. You know, um, make sure that these people are the right people for you to get involved with. Don't just jump into the deal because, you need to understand each other, know play to everybody's strengths. Find out what everybody's strengths, what everybody's weaknesses are. Fill the gaps with each other. Those are
I
the partners.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing for a partnership is you need somebody with experience because it's all well and fine if you have several people who are willing and able to get things done and hey, we're going to try and we're going to try and we're going to try and we're going to make it happen. That's good. I would reserve that more to the entrepreneurial business side.
Yeah,
If you're going out and investing, no matter the strategy, talking, triple N today, but how are you going to see the blind spots and everything if you have new person, new person, and new person? What's going to go wrong? Something will, especially if you're all new. Something will. So,
yeah,
you
most
know,
definitely.
that's why. And then the experienced person can also determine who's calling, BS or however you want to put
Yeah,
it,
yeah,
where a quote partner is going, hey, I'm this, and this. And especially the people who, and it's still, you guys have heard me say this a million times, you know, they're investing. And then I hear scale in the same sentence. And I want to pull my hair out and scoop my eyeballs out because it doesn't make sense in real estate. It's the speed thing again. So that's why an experienced partner who comes into the deal can go, oh, you want to scale? Well, what's your background? What have
yeah,
you done? Saying the right words. And saying those right words comes from experience too. Yeah, my point to that is experience is very important. And usually experience is slow.
yeah. It takes time to develop that experience, and speed of execution is great if you have a great team, a great partnership, and you see that from the experienced partnership teams, people that have been doing it, like you see, like the Ken McElroys with all the
Oh, love him.
thousands of units and stuff where
He's gonna be
they
on
can.
next week.
Oh, of course he
Yeah,
is.
yeah, yeah,
He's
yeah.
coming. He's coming to my house. We're eating dinner tonight.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
But
Hey, we call him Kenny.
yeah, Kenny, and then we're gonna have the Grant Cardone. We're gonna have who else? The David Green. We're gonna have all the rest of the guys from
Yeah,
everywhere. Brandon Turner's coming. It's gonna be great.
yeah, chop his beard off.
Yeah, no, you're not. That's, I like his beard. I think it's cool.
I like his beard too. It is
It's
cool.
good
Yeah.
for him because I don't. It would look kind of weird what he would look like
I don't know.
without.
I don't know if I want to see him without a beard, honestly.
I don't know if I care that much, you know.
Yeah.
But
Point being with the, if somebody does want to move fast on the team, especially someone who's young and inexperienced or whatever, don't have that person lead. If you have
yeah,
an experienced person, that experience will dictate the speed. That
mm,
experienced person can now lead the team in going faster
yeah,
because they've been there, they've done it. New people who are doing it together and everything, if they don't have experience or they're doing a new strategy and they want to go fast, hey, that's great. Everybody might work well together, but now you have this document, this thing that might get left out, this piece of due diligence that wasn't done. The experienced person can lead that team in the speed if speed is what is necessary to close the deal or whatever it is. Have experience on your team. That's I guess the big takeaway or point I'm trying to make with
yeah. The experienced
partnerships
partner.
experience.
Partnerships, if you can partner with someone that's much further ahead of you, that is a key to exponential growth.
100%.
Partnership, especially if they like you and they see that you have, the talent and, you have the time. Because a lot of times, the person that's experienced, they may not have the time, but they have the talent, and everything else. So you fill that gap for them, and they'll
Oh, that's why the new people do the running and everything like
yeah,
that. So
go
also,
go headhunt and stuff. Go
that's how
find
they get their experience.
Yeah, go find what they need, and chances are that person is very experienced. That's what they did. They came in and added value for someone else, and they were invited in to be a partner eventually, and eventually stood on their own and built a bigger team for themselves and found more partners and did more deals, and it's we cannot um reinforce the fact that partnerships, great partnerships build great, successful um, futures because without great partners, none of us would be here, and this is why we keep pushing for Like-Minded Pro being, the best partnership network. First, it's going to be in Florida, the best Like-Minded Pro X, the best partnership group. It's one of the biggest meetup groups in Florida. And now we have Rena, the tool on board, thanks to
Speaking about partnerships.
speaking about partnerships, which can help
Um,
you choose your better partnerships. We're expanding the meetups, more places to find partners. Like-Minded Pro X, that'll be along with the app, will be released at the summit September 26th, where there's another opportunity to find more partnerships and more like-minded people. So, we encourage you guys just to get out, get active in the meetups, get active on the calls, uh, you know, reach out to us if you guys need help finding partners and stuff like that. We're glad to help, because we know the benefit of our partnership and we know the benefit of other partnerships that we've had. And we want to help everyone else by bringing it to your living room on these calls and also making it available in public in the meetups and everywhere else. And why don't you talk a little bit about the Rena forum that's coming up here, Mark?
yeah, sure. And at the end of the day, none of the three of us are gurus at all. We
Yes.
are normal, everyday Americans who work our tails off and are deeply involved in real estate. And we're the facilitators of this group, Like-Minded Pro X, to make sure that each one of you can actually produce great partnerships and everything. So in partnering with us, potentially in the future or anything like that on real estate deals and everything. But yes, very excited for the Like-Minded Pro app to come out. Of course, on the 26th, the Rena app will be coming as well. Soon, hopefully. Very excited about that. It's forum based, and of course, everything is centered around, your real estate financial fingerprint, which is based off of the book, which is on Amazon, The Rena Guide. Buy it. It's good. You will buy it. Uh, no, you'll learn a lot. There are of all the real estate strategies out there, 132 of them. Should you be listening to gurus out there online or actually trusting and believing in yourself to go like, hey, that's right for me or that's not? That's what Rena basically accomplishes and everything like that. So check that out. But yes, the what do you call it? The forum is coming out shortly, so that'll be very cool. That's also based on all 132 real estate strategies and everything surrounding them. So yeah, there's a room thread for each one, and you can check out everything on that. So whether it's basic information, the guide, what strategies are, and then having each and every person who's actually posting in those rooms for, a triple net lease is one of them. Like what we
Yeah.
were just talking about, having the people in that room going, hey, these are my experiences. You can see stories, you can see wins and losses, you can see discussions, and you can see polls too, which is a very, very, very cool thing. So, and then asking all these questions and everything. So that's coming out shortly. Very excited for that. Hi, Jake.
Yeah.
We're wrapping up, but
How you doing, Jake?
Hi, late.
How we doing, man?
You hear me?
Yeah.
I'm late. No way. It's at 4 p.m. on my computer.
oh yeah, no, it's yeah, we're coming up on 5 p.m. here over there and everything. But yeah, we've
Yeah,
got
it's 4 p.m.
everybody
4 p.m. Eastern.
Eastern, yeah.
Well, my calendar's supposed to fix that. Long story short, all right, I guess I'll come to the next one then.
Yeah, we'll be here Friday.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
And then we're live streaming every place and everything like that. But yeah, please, we're trying to get everybody to come on here, and we're getting more. Ironically, there's just 3 of us today, but we're getting more and more people on and everything. But yeah, thanks for popping in. Come in.
Where are you
come in
calling from? Where are
Friday.
you calling from?
Yeah.
Texas.
Texas. Oh, nice.
Heck
We're in
yeah.
Texas. We're in
Fort
Texas.
Worth. Fort
Fort
Worth.
Worth. Nice. Yeah,
Yes,
I
sir.
graduated from University of Texas.
There we go.
Hook 'em horns.
Yep.
That's right.
Well,
I'm just not gonna like you guys come September. That's all right.
Yeah. Well, hey, I can probably be here Friday. I might be out of town, but I can try to jump in here. So yeah, I appreciate it.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, please do, and we can hear your story and I'll talk and everything as well. So heck yeah.
Rock and roll. All right, sounds good, y'all.
Thanks,
All right,
Jake.
Thank you. Okay. Bye.
Thank you, guys.
All right, everyone. Have a good day.
All right.
Yeah.
Take care.
Bye bye.
All right.
Bye-bye.